I think people are offended if anybody's doing anything that's different from them and successful.
What is your childhood like with having these two parents that are so smart?
What was it like?
Was it like psychological warfare?
He treated us like adults from the time we were little kids. It was interesting. I was on so much Adderall at that point. It was like,
Oh, yikes.
I mean, Adderall is like meth. They have a fancy name for it, but it's basically meth.
It's a lot.
Yeah, they're all quacks and they take advantage of sick people.
The world's a dangerous place.
Oh, that's crazy.
I have attacked you to come on the show for 2 years, I think.
About that, yeah.
I first found out about you because I was searching Robert Greene podcast. This is vintage.
That was a good one.
It was so good. It
We
popped
love
up.
him.
But here's why I was attracted to you initially. I don't know if I've told you this. You were one of the only people that I've seen interview Robert Greene that challenged him a little bit, besides your dad, which I got genetics, maybe. You challenged him, and it was really interesting to hear him because most people just sort of agree. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, you were asking him questions that were like just different than what he's normally asked. And so I'm like, who is this girl? And I come to do this whole deep dive on you. Anyway, here we are.
That's so nice. That was I like him. Like, I do like him.
He's smart.
Yeah.
It's very smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like with you, we have to get the foundation of the way you grew up, because I've heard you say on podcasts you would be, and maybe I'm flubbing this, you'd be in the living room listening to your dad like play piano. Is that true?
Oh, yeah, when I was little. So, no, that was I was born in Montreal and grew up a little bit in Boston when Dad went to Harvard or taught at Harvard. And yeah, at night I remember him playing piano. He's very good at piano.
So what is your childhood like with having these two parents that are so smart?
What was it like? Let's see. Well, I didn't
Was it like
realize
psychological warfare the whole time?
a little bit. Like whenever we had a disagreement in the family, whether that was my brother or me or one of our parents, we'd have to sit at the kitchen table and then sort it out until we were done. So it wasn't like there was no resentment allowed in the house, right? So you can have an argument, like sit on it or even sleep on it. It was like, we're sorting this out right now. So we had a lot of kitchen table arguments so that was a lot.
Just one brother.
Yeah,
Okay.
one younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I think growing up, like learning the psychological significance of the Bible and all these mythological stories from around the world, I kind of just thought that's what everybody else learned. Like, you don't really know that your family's different than any other family. I think I didn't really figure it out until I was about 23. Like, it took a while. Then I started to go to other people's houses and I was like, these houses are all, white. We had 32 different colors in our house. It was like oh my gosh, it was a lot to walk into. We had
What do
like
you mean,
150 paintings.
For
In
the
like a
decor.
700 square foot semi-detached house in
what do you
Toronto.
Was
mean?
it organized or was it just kind of like
It was-
chaotically everywhere?
It was like organized chaos.
Okay.
Yeah. So
What
it was
do you mean
organized.
you're
for
Like,
learning
it
sure.
wasn't like
about-
a hoarder status.
No, but there was a lot of stuff and a lot of art, but it wasn't hoarder status.
Okay.
You're
Trying
learning
to get
about
the
the
picture.
Bible?
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you mean?
So at Christmas or I just remember sitting in the living room and Dad talking through mostly the Old Testament and how important those stories were from a psychological perspective. So like Job was a big one. We went through Genesis, and I think I was only between the ages of like 8 and 10 when we talked about all that stuff. So he treated us like adults from the time we were little kids. It was interesting. I came home from university one time and they had kind of changed my room a bit. They didn't change Julian's room, but they were like, now that we have more space, because the house was really small, they changed my room and they had put paintings of Lenin against the wall, like where my bed was. And I woke up in the middle of the night and a painting of Lenin had fallen
Why
over
Lenin?
on me. Because Dad, like once the Soviet Union's walls kind of came down, there was a whole bunch of art. A lot of it was propaganda art that was stuck behind there, and people there were able to sell it, mostly on eBay.
Mm.
So he was like, this is insane, and bought hundreds and hundreds of really amazing kind of propaganda-y paintings on eBay and then filled our entire house with it.
You know who I else heard did that was Arnold Schwarzenegger. He like got the busts, the statues.
Yeah,
of
we
those
had
people.
some busts. We had a
Yeah.
Lenin bust.
So you didn't realize until you're 23 years old that the way that you grew up was so unique.
Oh, yeah. Not at all. And all my dad's friends, too, were other university professors. So if there were ever dinner parties or something, then everyone who came over was kind of intellectual and interesting in a similar way. So I didn't know any business people. Like, I only started meeting business people recently. I really only knew university professors that my dad was friends with.
Is that intimidating to be 8 to 10 years old and having these conversations with these people who are so smart and such intellectuals? I mean, it's a lot.
I don't think it felt like a lot because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
Like, I think what we learned at the dinner table was, I think what was helpful was I learned to listen well and not interrupt, because then you look like a moron. So not interrupt, and to figure out when you can speak in conversation, because the conversations were really rapid at the dinner table. So that was helpful.
At one time when you did interrupt, if you ever did, what happened?
He'd just talk over. It wasn't like you can't do that. It was just like you had to be very specific about when you were going to like sneak into conversation, or you just wouldn't get a word in.
What do you think your parents did right when it comes to raising you? Because they've obviously raised someone who had, I mean, and we're going to get into your whole thing. You have a very specific point of view. And I'm interested in that because I have a daughter. They did a lot of things right.
I think there were a number of things. My dad always treated me as if I could do more. So there's downsides to that and upsides. But, you know, it was good job if you get A's, but like, they could have been A+ type of thing.
Whew.
But it was a good job. So we'd go out for dinner if I could get all A's and things, but there was always a little bit of underlying expectation that you can achieve more. And that's like, it's hard, but I think overall it was incredibly beneficial. So that was good. And then I was really, really sick as a kid. And my dad, this was mostly my dad, told me, you can never use this as an excuse. Even though it's a real excuse, like you're sick and you're having a hard time, if you use it as an excuse, it's just going to destroy your entire life. And I don't know how much of a role that played in me trying to figure out my health and get out of it, but those were extremely beneficial lessons.
Well, I imagine you didn't look at it as a handicap then, right?
Not really. I was annoyed by it. And I didn't, I guess, internalize it like this is me, which I think a lot of chronically ill people do, is like, this is part of my identity. And this was always like, this is a handicap I have to deal with, and maybe I can get rid of it. You know, when I was in my young 20s, I was like, maybe I actually don't have to just be dealt that hand and live with it for the rest of my life.
Why do you think there's downsides to that, to particular perspective when it comes to parenting?
I think I know a lot of other really high achieving people that didn't get a ton of positive feedback as a kid. So it's like trying to find the balance, because I have kids too, right? And you're trying to find the balance of like, good job and making them feel good about themselves, but also showing them that they're capable of achieving so much. So I'm actually happy with how I was raised. I think I got pushed. I don't know how much that has to do with how successful I am now. Maybe if I wasn't pushed so hard, I wouldn't be where I'm at now.
No,
it's such a tricky balance.
I relate to it because I probably had a similar upbringing where it was like, there's always more to do. And
so his mother's a half Japanese.
Not a lot of praise.
Yeah. But then I've been trying,
but I never didn't feel loved. I just felt
I know, me too. And I've been trying to figure out, that's probably the best thing you can do, right? Because you talk to other people and they're like, oh no, I was told that like I was enough for my whole life, and maybe they're not as successful. And it's like, maybe that's a good drive to have.
We had a conversation literally yesterday, and we were walking our daughter out of school, and I said, you know, there's this, what's it called? Gentle parenting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know about that term. But I was like, I just was telling her, I said, you know, the problem with all of this and making people feel good all the time and making people feel safe all the time is that you get into the real world and you're not going to feel good all the time. And the world's a dangerous place. And there's real competition. And there's people that don't care about your feelings that are going to do whatever it takes. And I said, our job as parents are to usher in capable adults that are able to deal with that reality. And I think, I'm not passing judgment, but I just, if you look at some people that have gone the other way and then their kids grow up and they are completely flabbergasted when they get into the real world, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is real. Like, why isn't everything fair and why isn't everything safe?
Yeah.
I think then as a parent, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, maybe I could have done that differently. Because I view my job for both my daughter and son is to like usher them into adulthood so that there's the least amount of surprise when they get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they get
and
there,
life
like, oh,
can
this
get
is life.
really bad. Like it's good not to be naive.
I like when I used to be when I was a kid, I used to get in trouble and we'd get in these fights and it was totally stupid. But I always was amazed and shocked when somebody would be in that situation and they would get hit in the mouth and they would be so surprised that that was the outcome that happened. And I would say, well, if you put yourself in these
You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah,
like there are no rules.
They'd be like, I can't believe there'd be this utter shock that like somebody did that to them. And I'm like, this is what reality looks like.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got taught, this is funny too. I got taught when I was little. So apparently my parents had friends over and my dad told me, when you enter kindergarten, go up to the biggest kid there and punch them. And that'll show the class who's dominant there. It was a joke, right? Sure. And the parents that came over were not impressed. But I remember in grade 2, somebody was bullying me. And it was a kid that like obviously came from a rough family and wasn't having a good time. It was this girl and she shoved me against a wall and I kicked her. Like that was just the response. It wasn't like cry because I got shoved against the wall. It was like shove, kick, like hard. And then she kind of, that was it. There was no more bullying. She was just kind of like, yeah, okay, respect you. So there is something to being taught to act that way for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have a theory that the reason so many people bully so many more people online and talk so much is because we've gotten to this place where people don't have those interactions anymore. It's like you're just taught to accept bad things and you're taught to not stand up for yourself because you don't want to get in trouble, whatever. And I think what I learned just as a young age, and maybe others did too, is like bullying creates other bullies because that insecurity, not ever being able to stand up for yourself, you then go and do it to another person. Where if you stand up to someone, it kind of like stops the cycle right there in the tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your mom like?
My mom, so when my friends used to come over, they'd be scared of my dad because he's loud. And then after they came over a number of times, they'd be scared of my mom. She's the actual scary person in the family, or she was. So she was very open, very artistic. Like she does art. She was a massage therapist. She's smart. So she had a lot of health problems too. Like my whole family had a lot of health problems, which really kind of darkened the time I spent at home, which we've sorted out now, thank goodness. But she was, I don't know. She was scary. She was definitely stricter. Like if I wanted to go do something that I shouldn't have been doing, I would go to my dad.
Huh.
Yeah.
When you look back now with where you are and you have mentioned your health problems, I've watched your TED Talk, your mom had health problems. Do you think that there was like a mold situation in your house? Like why do you guys? Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Looking back, what do you like deduct all this stuff?
What was the actual?
Yeah, explain that journey of your life.
Or is this a long
it's
rabbit
intense.
hole?
So it's hard. I think there were probably a number of factors that were contributing to it, but we did buy this house from 1910 that was destroyed. Like it hadn't been touched since 1910. And my parents bought it and redid the entire interior. But the person who did the basement, which is where I grew up, left a cap off behind a wall on a pipe, and the entire basement filled with black mold behind the drywall.
Oh, yikes.
And when it took like 10 years to figure out. So that's my entire childhood because it was hard to tell in like a damp basement in Toronto. And then when they figured it out, they brought people in that just, put fans up and blew the spores everywhere, which isn't what you're supposed to do when you remediate. And so that couldn't have helped. But by the time I moved there, I was already sick. So I think these were just like multiple factors. It could have been mold. It could have been like being born from a C-section, maybe some virus. I still have bacteria. I don't know.
What were the symptoms when you were a kid?
When I was 2, I started to, like, as soon as I started to walk, I was limping. And so I had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, like from the age I was walking. I didn't get diagnosed till I was 7. And at that point it was in, I can't remember if it was 32 or 37 joints. It was in almost all my joints except for my spine. Like it was in my jaw, all my fingers. And so that was the first thing that hit. And then in grade 4, I got extremely depressed enough I was medicated in grade 5 with antidepressants. And I was having like suicidal thoughts and nightmares and like OCD. So it was like arthritis, then severe depression. And then in my teenage years, I got chronic fatigue really badly. So like I would skip class and go sleep in the library. I had this like little like dugout of books where I would go sleep, like really tired, just falling asleep in class. The professors were like, why aren't you paying attention? I was like, I'm passing out. I don't know why. So that was throughout my teenage years. And then I had my hip and ankle replaced when I was 17 from the arthritis, even though I was being medicated with immune suppressants and like Enbrel and methotrexate, like serious hardcore medications. Still had my ankle and hip replaced. And it wasn't until I was 23, and I think I just like grew up a bit and was like, I'm like, this is not doable. Like this way of living is not doable for me. It was very frustrating. Like the brain fog, not being able to remember things from class. Like I had like 400 cue cards just to try to remember facts from biology and things that you should be able to pick up faster. And I was like, I've got to delve into this in an alternative way and just try to get to the bottom of it, because obviously what I've been doing since I was 7 isn't working.
If you're somebody that is looking to fortify your gut health, ignite your metabolism, vitalize your hair growth, enhance your skin radiance, and fuel performance and recovery, boy, oh boy, do I have something for you, and that is Armor Colostrum. Lauren and I have become huge fans of Armor Colostrum and their groundbreaking colostrum product. We love the product so much that we actually had the founder of Armor Colostrum on this show to talk about all the benefits that Armor Colostrum provides when you start implementing it into your daily routines. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the product, Armor is a patent-pending premium bovine colostrum concentrate that leverages proprietary cold chain biopotent pasteurization technology to preserve colostrum's 400 plus bioactive nutrients in their purest, most bioavailable form, and ensures a composition that is uniquely optimized for human health. We take it every single day. We give it to our kids. And since taking it, we have noticed a plethora of different benefits, including better gut health, better hair growth, skin radiance, nail growth, all sorts of performance and recovery benefits, and it's quickly become a staple in our supplement rotation. Armor is also sustainably sourced from grass-fed cows on family-owned dairy farms throughout the United States, and they utilize the overflow of colostrum, ensuring the calves' needs always come first and only the surplus waste is collected and upcycled. So if you're looking to pack a ton of punch into a simple scoop of powder that you can add easily to any beverage or simply just scoop into your mouth, Armor is a great product to try. We've worked out a brand new special offer for our audience. Receive 30% off your first subscription order. Go to tryarmor.com/skinny or enter skinny to get 30% off your first subscription order. That's tryarmra.com/skinny. Tryarmor.com/skinny. This one's for the parents out there. We spend so much time thinking about our health, the supplements that we want to take, the best way to live our lives. We also spend so much time thinking about our children. This is why we love talking about Hiya Health. Lauren and I have been Hiya fans for years now, and our children have taken their children's vitamins every single morning for the last few years, ever since they became partners of this show and ever since we learned about them. Typical children's vitamins are basically candy in disguise, filled with 2 teaspoons of sugar, unhealthy chemicals, and other gummy junk growing kids should never eat. That's why Hiya was created, the pediatrician-approved superpowered chewable vitamin. While most children's vitamins are filled with 5 grams of sugar and can contribute to a variety of health issues, Hiya is made with 0 sugar and 0 gummy junk, yet it tastes great and is perfect for picky eaters. Like I said, our children wake up every single morning and they actually ask for them. They look forward to it. It's part of their breakfast routine. And we love it because they're getting all sorts of great things, including vitamin D, B12, C, zinc, 15 essential vitamins and minerals. And now the same multivitamin that more than 1 million kids and parents love are now available in Barbie Pink with a limited edition Barbie unboxing experience, including Barbie bottle and Barbie stickers. I also recommend checking out their new kids probiotic and the nighttime essentials. Of course, we've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/skinny. This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to hiyahealth.com/skinny and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. hiyahealth.com/skinny.
What a fitting topic for this episode, Good Ranchers. They deliver top quality, all-American meat with no seed oils, no antibiotics ever, and no added hormones right to my door. So I get to skip all the grocery store chaos and still feel great about what I'm eating. If you're looking to add more meat to your diet and you don't know where to start, this is a really great way to get your chicken, ground beef, bacon, or salmon straight to your door. You know I do a meat bowl every single day. I mix it up. The other day I did like a cheeseburger bowl. I put cheese on my Good Ranchers ground beef. I put a little bit of lettuce, some special sauce. I made it taste so good, some tomatoes. But then the day before that, I just did a little bit of honey drizzled on top. I mix it up and they have amazing ground beef because I like my ground beef with no antibiotics and no added hormones. If you're looking for steakhouse quality, this meat really taste better and you won't even want to go back. It also saves time and money, which I love. All cuts are pre-trimmed, which makes meal prep so easy. They're individually packaged and vacuum sealed too, so you have less waste and you never have to throw freezer burned cuts away again. Subscribe to any Good Ranchers box and you can choose a free add-on for the next 4 years. Free in every box for 4 years is the boneless chicken breasts or Angus ground beef, which is my pick, or Applewood smoked bacon, or wild caught salmon. So you can sort of curate it. Plus, with our special code, you get an additional $25 off your first box and free express shipping. Don't miss out. Use our code SKINNY at goodranchers.com to get $25 off your first box, free express shipping, and a free add-on for 4 years. That's over $1,200 in savings and one less thing to worry about this upcoming fall and winter. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. So what are the first steps that you take? Because you had to drastically change your life.
And did nobody in your family know what was going on, or they like knew, but they just didn't know what to do?
I mean, everybody knew how sick I was, but it was just like, wow, this is sad.
But they
like, it wasn't really like we can do anything.
What to do about it.
Yeah. And every time we went to a doctor, it was like when I got diagnosed when I was 7, they said she has juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. It's in 32 or 37 joints, and it results in multiple joint replacements and an early death, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, that's the whole doctor's appointment. And there are some promising medications, some new biologics that like might work, but you're repeatedly told there's nothing you can do about it. So, which I hate in the medical system, is like, yeah, you're diagnosed with X and there's nothing you can do about it. So like, don't even try, which isn't a favor to people.
Sure.
So we my mom was always dragging me to naturopaths and things, but she went like, she's open. So at one point I went to a massage therapist that I hate this. I think I was in grade 4 and she was massaging me and she was like, there's ancient trauma in here. And she ended up throwing up in a garbage can and being like, there's a lot of ancient trauma. And I was in grade 4 and I was like, Mom, I don't want to do that. No, it was grade 3. I was like, I don't want to do that kind of thing.
She would take you to these types of people.
It was everything. It was like a naturopath, people who did muscle testing. Like, I was hooked up to electrodes. Yeah.
This is going to be Lauren with our kids.
Oh, man. It was like, and so the problem with that was because a lot of those alternative people were onto something, but it wasn't enough. And so what I saw is my mom going into these appointments, being hopeful, buying a whole bunch of supplements, none of them doing anything. And I was like, yeah, they're all quacks and they take advantage of sick people. Mm-hmm. So when I started to look into like alternative ways to get healthy, I had to unbrainwash myself from thinking that everything alternative was quacky. It was transformative anyway. It was needed.
When you look back at the whole journey of your health, what are like the little epiphanies that you think have made a big difference overall? Like, I'm assuming diet was one of the first things you changed, or no?
Oh yeah. Diet was first, luckily. Like I went back to university. I dropped out of classics and psychology because I was too tired to go to my final exams. Like, I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, okay, maybe. My parents wanted to keep me close to home because of all my doctors. And I was like, I'm not staying in Toronto. I'm going to Montreal for university. And then I went to Montreal and like died. So I came back home. I eventually went into biomedical sciences because I thought I'd need to pursue immunology or something to learn why I was sick. And I came across a bunch of research showing that gluten can be a huge problem for people with autoimmune disorders. So I kind of went the science route and then found all this association with like gluten and leaky gut and was like, maybe cutting out gluten will cure me. And I cut that out and it made like 10% of a difference, but it was enough of a difference that I was like, maybe there's something here. And I eventually kind of came up with an elimination diet. I was like, just to rule out if diet's the cause, like what are people allergic to? So I cut out like eggs, dairy, processed foods, grains, soy, nuts, like anything you would think as a sane person, what are people allergic to? So I was eating meat and certain vegetables and certain fruit. And my symptoms turned around in like a month.
And so what were like the first things you noticed? Like more energy, clarity?
No, I noticed. So I'd been going to the gym. I was on so much Adderall at that point. It was like,
oh, yikes.
Yeah. It was, I'd come up with this cocktail of medication enough to keep myself awake and functioning and chronically ill.
You would use the Adderall.
Coming off that much
awake.
Adderall is dangerous too. I'm sure you know.
Oh, yeah. I figured that all out later after.
Trial by error.
But it was like a pretty good cocktail at the time for not having any other solution. So the first thing I noticed is I was bloated, which I had been chronically bloated. So I didn't even know it was bloat. And that went away in a month. So I lost 3 pant sizes and 5 pounds, which didn't really line up to the size going down. So it was just like my stomach. I'd been going to the gym trying to get abs. And I was like, why can't I get abs? And then I changed my diet and it was like sudden abs. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. So, and the funny thing is I started looking long-term into how to get healthy for the arthritis. But the thing that really drove me crazy is I had this rash and it was starting to show up on my face and my shoulders. And I was like, my life is already bad enough with like chronic fatigue, severe depression, and my joints eating themselves. And now I have a visible rash. So now people can see that I'm sick. And I was like, okay. And that's actually what led me to gluten and the celiac rash. Found out I have celiac disease. So that was huge. So it was like vanity, I think, that really pushed me over the edge. Once people could see that I was sick, I was like, I can't have this.
So when does the lion diet come in? Is this way later?
2 years later. Okay. So I started cutting things out and I pretty much got myself into remission and off all the medications in like 4 months, doing a really, really limited, almost autoimmune paleo diet. I didn't know what any of those diets were at the time because this was 2015. And then when I stopped taking my antidepressants, I went into extremely severe psych med withdrawal, which I didn't know at the time because I didn't know taking antidepressants long-term and then suddenly stopping causes withdrawal, and neither did any of my doctors.
What's the symptoms?
Oh, it's almost like your original depression comes back, but everything is way worse. So psych med withdrawal it's misdiagnosed all the time as a reoccurrence of original symptoms when it's actually withdrawal. So I had like sensitivity, like there's no way I would be in here with the lights. Sensitivity to light. I could only wear certain fabrics because fabrics were bothering me. I could only listen to certain songs because the songs hurt my ears. So I'd be listening to a song and be like, no, it's hurting my ears. Like sound like that in a pop song shouldn't hurt your ears. So it was like sensitivity to all these things. I thought it was because it took me literally 2 years to recognize that was psych med withdrawal, because I thought I had cut so many things out of my diet that I just hypersensitized my system or something, which wasn't even remotely accurate. So it was 2 years later when I ended up only eating meat. And that was after psych med withdrawal and kind of in the midst of it and after having a baby. And after that, my immune system just was kind of going haywire, even on the original kind of autoimmune paleo diet that helped me.
If there's a parent who's listening that wants to put their kids on Adderall or has put their kids on Adderall, what is your experience? And is there anything that you would caution?
I mean, Adderall is like meth. So, I mean, they have a fancy name for it, but it's basically meth.
Yeah, we had a buddy that was taking it and he went for a summer construction job and they make him drug tests and he tested positive for meth and like, we can't hire you because you're on meth. And it was Adderall. It was Adderall.
Yeah, I know. They just like fancy up the name. Mm-hmm. So no, probably kids shouldn't be taking that. Like look into diet. At least cut out all the processed foods and maybe all the ingredients that are already banned in Europe. Like in America, it's hard to be healthy.
Well,
you guys do a good job.
Is it similar in Canada?
It's not as bad in Canada, but it's pretty similar. It's not like it is in Europe.
Why do you think it's so controversial to say cut out? If I say cut out Adderall and you say cut out processed foods, and it's more controversial to say cut out processed food. Like, why is that controversial to say?
I think a lot of
like it's less controversial to talk about Adderall than it is about cutting out processed food.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I don't understand that.
I think so. Like my experience being chronically ill, I had people come up to me and be like, you should exercise more or you should eat healthy. And I remember being chronically ill, like talking to people who were like, you should eat better. Just being like, I could murder you right now. You could eat better. What does that even mean? Like, I'm not out there eating Cheetos and then that's making me sick. Like, I'm just eating food. So I think some of it is a defense mechanism that's like, how dare you tell me that my chronic illness that's killing me could be solved by just cutting out processed foods? So I think some of it's a defense mechanism. And then a lot of it is like brainwashing from the last 30 years of food corporations being like, this is healthy because it says health on the front.
Well, there's also, Lauren, I mean, if you tell a parent to change the nap schedule, they want to kill you. Now you're telling them to change their kid's medication, right?
I'm not telling him to change anything.
No,
I'm just saying, I think Mikhaila's point that
my
try
example
cutting out processed food
Well, you said like we do a good job. So I think the way we think about it is like if I just met you on the street and you said, "Hey, Michael, how do you live?" And I said, "Well, I try to not have chemical ingredients and I try to eat clean and check the label and make sure there's not things in there that are bad for you ingredients that are not, that are man-made ingredients. And I try to get good cleaning supplies and I try to exercise every day and do this." Like it doesn't sound like crazy, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think when someone's not living that way and they're doing all these things, it sounds like I have to take everything that I'm doing and enjoying out of my life.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a personal attack on them. But I don't know, like we have older parents, if they're listening, sorry. And like we'll sit with them and say like, "Hey, maybe like no more diet soda," or like maybe change the Windex for a Branch Basics, or maybe like, I don't know, whatever the things that we, get better water without plastic. And they kind of look at you like, "You're insane. I'm living. I'm fine."
Yeah. And
Because you
also
can be
like,
better.
I don't think people understand what type of difference it can make. Like, especially people who've been stuck with anxiety or depression for their entire life. They think that that's just what life is like. So you have to tell them that's not, like, these are their problems. You've been stuck in it for so long. You don't know how much better things could be when you eliminate these products or foods. So part of it, like, and I think part of the reason maybe the Lion Diet and talking about this has resonated with people is because I've said, I was like, I didn't believe any of this stuff. And like, this is kind of how I got to that. And I've described like, this is what depression feels like. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's just what I think life is like." It's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, you don't have to be scared when you walk down the street for no reason.
Yeah, the
Like-
sad thing though is like sometimes it takes someone in your position who was sick and had these symptoms and then healed from them.
Yeah.
Where like say that it's like let's just say you and I are delivering the same exact message. Some people are turned off by the messenger if they haven't had a similar experience to them.
Oh, and I totally get that too.
Yeah.
I'd
Makes sense.
probably be one of those people that was like, I think I felt that way to healthy people too, just being like, "You're lucky."
Mhm.
Right? Which isn't like, that's not how healthy people operate.
It's like-
They're
it's-
all doing something to be healthy. They're
It's
not
like a
just
rich-
lucky.
Yeah,
Right?
It's like a rich person telling a poor person how to become rich. And it's like easy
Yeah.
for you to say you're rich.
Yeah.
Right? It's like much easier to say privilege, you were born with it, like you got lucky, as opposed to saying like, "Oh, maybe there's something there in the message."
Yeah.
I think I heard you or your dad on Rogan, I don't remember who it was, that said that you inspired your dad to do the same diet as you. Is that because he was struggling his own struggle and you stepped in and said, "Hey, this is the way to eat"? Or was it like a slow situation?
Oh, no, it was, I mean, as soon as I was on that really limited, like dairy-free, egg-free paleo kind of diet, and my life turned around and I got off of all my medications, I mean, both my parents looked at me and they're like, "Oh, that's crazy." Because I was taking 40 milligrams of Adderall and napping on it during the day, which
Wow.
is like,
That's wild.
you have to be tired to be able to do that. And I stopped taking all the medication and I think I was on 8 or something. It was ridiculous. And so they looked at that and I was like, "Dad, he had the same severe depression I had." And we'd always chalked it up to something familial because my grandpa had it, my great grandpa had it. And we were like, it's this genetic depression that hits certain people in the family. But then when mine lifted and my life like opened up, I was like, "Dad, you need to get on this." And that was enough of a change for him to be like, "Okay, I'll try." It didn't take much pushing there. Getting him to only eat meat took 2 years of phone calls.
So explain this diet to me, because I've seen you talk about it and Lauren's told me about it. When you say only meat, it means only
Like,
meat.
what are you ordering tonight at the steakhouse?
Probably depends on what type of steak they have, but
Okay.
usually New York strip and maybe a filet. And if they have Wagyu versions of those, then those.
Are you like, "I don't want salt, I don't want pepper"?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah,
like
it's
tell
usually-
me, I'm the waiter. What do
Okay,
you want?
yeah, okay. So I'll say, I'll get a like medium or medium rare, extra char, nothing on the steak. No sides, no garnish, no oil, no butter, no pepper.
Nothing.
Like absolutely
Just a piece of
nothing.
meat.
Meat on a burner on a plate. Yeah. And like we have to be very specific because they'll be like, "Okay, but you want the garnish and stuff." So like nothing on it. And then we'll ask what type of salt they use. A lot of nice steakhouses use salt with anti-caking agent in it. which doesn't make me feel good. So if they're using sea salt or kosher salt or Himalayan salt, I'll be like, okay, you can salt the steak. Otherwise, I want a side of salt and then I'll salt it myself.
That's a good question to ask, though. What salt are you using? I don't think that's a
Will
crazy
you,
question.
will you eat fish or chicken or anything like that, or it's just pure red?
It's all red meat.
Okay.
More recently, I've been like, I can do like small amounts of wild fish.
Okay.
So I can do like mackerel, sardines, wild salmon. I can't do farm salmon. I'm so allergic to soy that I'm allergic to farm salmon, which is almost always fed soy. Even though like there's this type of farm salmon and sometimes restaurants will tell you it's wild and all the fish are in the ocean with a big net and they're like, yeah, it's kind of wild, but they're still fed soy. And they taste really good, but I can't do it.
Can you have a margarita?
I can have vodka.
Huh.
I know.
Could you have
this
gin,
is what,
or you can't do the botanicals?
So I used to.
No
so
tequila?
I took a silver tequila. I can't do gin. I'll explain why. So like when I first went to all meat and was trying to get my health under control, I didn't drink for about 2 years. And I started drinking again and was like, thank the good Lord, I can tolerate hard liquor without having autoimmune problems. I was like, one vice, thank goodness. And then I went out and I had gin and the gin had almond extract in it. And I'm really allergic to nuts and I was sick for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like the botanicals that they put in.
Yeah. So I don't do gin now because of the botanicals. I'll do vodka, like pretty much any vodka, silver tequila. I hate tequila though, but I'll do silver tequila and it's just vodka and water.
Do you hate tequila because you had a bad experience with tequila or you just don't?
I don't like the taste of tequila, especially just drinking tequila without the lime.
Yeah, because you can't do any mix,
listen,
right?
I don't mean.
Okay, so it's not like you're having a skinny margarita. You're just having tequila.
I will say,
Yeah.
tequila
or vodka, I
has
should
become
say.
much
Yeah,
bigger
vodka soda.
in other parts of the world. But like in Canada and in Europe for the longest time, they had shit tequila. It was like Jose Cuervo and bad. So now they carry a lot of stuff because tequila has become popular. We grew up in San Diego, so there was always tequila around. I think if you get a good tequila, like a really high quality one.
No, she doesn't like the taste.
No, I know. But
She likes the vodka soda.
You're like, how can you not like
Can
the
you
taste?
have
But if you get a
fucking
good-
lime in the tequila?
No.
You can't.
No
You can't
lime.
even have a lime.
No.
yeah, but a good tequila doesn't need the lime.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
But I will say to everyone who's listening, the way you look to me in person is so healthy and like really vivacious. So whatever you're doing is working.
Well, let's
Thank
talk
you.
about the diet specifically because I think this is so shocking to a lot of people. But to me, there's a lot of cultures and people that evolved that use primarily meat, right? Like this is not a novel thing.
I mean, it was novel to me.
Sure, I'm sure.
I was a little bit nervous too. And the original plan, I was eating meat and salad at that point, and I was breastfeeding, and I was like, I need the salad because like that's the only place I'm getting vitamins from.
I think salads are overrated big time.
I love salad so much. Like I wouldn't. Oh, I love salad. I miss salad.
You know the problem with salads? It's a lot of crunching and a lot of stuff going on.
I like
it takes
the
a long time.
crunch.
It takes a long time.
I don't care about the crunch.
It just feels
I
like
like it. Cucumbers.
cucumbers are
If I
good.
could eat one thing, it would be a cucumber.
Cucumbers are good, but
So go on.
salads are kind of a pain
So
in the
you're
ass.
breastfeeding and you're eating salad and meat.
And then my arthritis was coming back, and so I was like, you wake up in the middle of the night to breastfeed, and I was like pushing myself up on the bed, and my wrist would like buckle or something like that, and I was just like, this is not okay. Like I'm off of all my medication. I've been off of it at that point for 2 years, and then it just started sneaking back in, and I was like, I'm not going back on medication for sure. It's got to be diet. Like what in my diet could be causing it? I don't know why I stopped being able to tolerate those things. If it was having a baby or moving into a moldy house because I moved into another moldy house. I don't know what happened, but I was like, I'll just cut out salad and just do all meat for like a month or as long as it takes to get my health in order. And then I'll start reincorporating foods in again. And I was just never able to reincorporate foods in without triggering the autoimmunity. So I just like stayed on it.
Do you know your ethnicity? Have you ever done like an Ancestry or a 23andMe? Like, do you know?
Yeah. When I was trying to figure out what was wrong with my family, I had everybody in my family do 23andMe. And then I chucked all the raw data you can get on 23andMe into a whole bunch of like third-party apps to see if there were some genetic abnormalities leading to the autoimmunity. We couldn't find anything other than celiac disease.
The reason, well, that's helpful. But the reason I'm also asking is I'm wondering your genetic makeup and if those genes do better with a meat-based diet or not.
It's hard to say. It's basically UK. It's a lot of UK, German, Irish, Scottish, Norwegian, a little bit of Polish. That's basically it.
What's your blood type?
AB positive.
I always thought you were going to say O.
No, it's not. People ask me that all the
thought
time.
you
They're
were
like,
gonna
are
say
you
O.
O? No.
So when COVID hit, and if you get sick from COVID, do you get sicker than normal because of all your autoimmune or no?
So I was worried because I used to get bronchitis all the time. I was on immune suppressants. So whenever I got a cold, it'd be bronchitis and then it'd be pneumonia and then I'd be in the hospital. It was a disaster. And so when COVID hit, I was like, this could be bad for me. But I didn't get that sick when I caught it. And I caught it fast. I caught it in like June 2020. And no, it was like, I got a cough and things. And it lasted, it was a bad cold, but I didn't get sicker.
Have you noticed, because I have, all the beauty benefits of meat? I mean, my hair has never been longer. My eyebrows won't stop. I mean, I've noticed so many beauty benefits of eating a lot of meat.
I mean, 100%. My skin was a mess. Like most of my issues, I think it was my skin that really tortured me. And so it helped there. I mean, it helped with overall like fat distribution on my body. Like I lost a bunch of weight. I didn't lose a ton because I'm like a little bit obsessive. And so I kind of got it under control before I was dieting by doing like rice, broccoli, chicken and being like, gotta lose it. But I look way better eating meat. For sure, there are beauty benefits.
How do you think about feeding your kids? Is there like a certain thing that you do with meat with them?
Yeah. So I do. There's a diet called the GAPS diet, which is generally it's recommended across the board, but it's for sick people. And I had Natasha Campbell McBride, I hope that's her name, on my podcast who came up with the GAPS diet. So for my kids, I've done like initial food, meat, like fatty meat, because it's like similar to breast milk, really easy to transition into. People were doing iron fortified cereals for a really long time before they realized you could just have meat and then you don't have to have iron fortified anything.
Iron fortified cereals, like what kind of cereal is that?
This was like the recommendation in the 90s.
You also don't need 100 vitamins when you eat meat, right?
Yeah. So we started with meat and then just like really slowly with like apples, sweet potatoes, carrots, like one at a time and just monitor for reactions until it's
and they're
more
fine
varied.
with everything.
Yeah. My 7-year-old, she's got some stomach problems. And I don't know if that's because when she was born, we were in this moldy house and then we moved to Miami. We were in a moldy house. So much mold.
And
so
then
many
you
of my
also
houses
had
have
another
leaked.
house recently with mold in it.
Yeah. It's like laughable. I've had most of the places I've lived in, the ceiling has leaked.
Is that why you went to Arizona? Now that I'm thinking, because I used to live in Arizona.
Yes.
So it's
we
the
were
dry
in Miami.
climate.
We got super sick. I got even on the diet, I just kind of devolved and I was like, no, I have a diet that's like,
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Fixed me.
Miami, Austin too, Lauren. You gotta be careful on mold in Austin. I don't want to scare you.
Oh, this is why I'm in Scottsdale. It's
Well, it
like, I'm
makes
going to
sense,
the desert. I don't want to deal with mold again.
I used to live in Tucson, not quite Scottsdale, but
Wait,
similar
but
climate.
Isn't there ways to find out if the house has
there
mold
are.
before you move in?
So like the best way is actually drilling little holes behind the drywall and then swabbing, which you can't do before you move in. So luckily we have money. So it'd be like, buy a new build. Then you know that there's not like 10 years of mold somewhere.
Yeah.
Buy a new build and then check the HVACs, check the back of the toilets. This is sneaky for buying property. You can just look in the toilet tank and if the water has mold in it, it's because the air that's getting sucked in has mold in it. It's not the water, it's the air.
Huh.
So there's like little things you can look around the windows, you can smell it, you can look for paint cracks. Like you can find a less moldy house and then you can get somebody in to check it once you buy it.
I want to set you up with the guy who, and I don't know if I've messaged you this before, that does Test My Home. Do you know?
I like Test My Home a lot. I've been using Michael Rubino.
I don't
know him.
It's similar. He comes into your house and just looks at everything.
Yeah, they do. I do We Inspect. It's like Test My Home, but it's We Inspect. They drill. It's really annoying. They drill a whole bunch of holes and look behind all your walls and find like the speck of mold. But they're good. So We Inspect, and then Michael Rubino will come in with his company and fix it. I've noticed that the biggest difference to air quality isn't the like micro amounts of mold that are around. It's the state of your HVACs. Yeah. So we just replaced the HVACs and then...
You could get those lights now too. Like the UV lights that go in there when they're blowing the HVAC and it kills a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Those are great.
At what point in your career did you know that you sort of had star quality? Because obviously, you know, your parents are very well known. I don't know if it's something you always knew since you were little. When did you start to realize like you could really create a platform?
honestly, maybe this year.
What?
I'm not even joking.
What about during your TED Talk? This year?
Yeah.
That's
this
wild.
year of like, oh, okay, things could be good. I don't know why it took, like, I don't know why
Should've
it took me.
texted me.
You know what happened? You know actually what happened? I'll tell. So I lived with one of my dad's grad students when I was 21 and like a bunch of other people. And I was like, I want to do a personality test and an IQ test. And this was when I was 22. I was on like 8 medications and Adderall and I couldn't function. And he gave me an IQ test. And from what I remember, he's now working with Peterson Academy, this guy, Victor. But from what I remember is he came to me and he wouldn't tell me my results. And he said, sometimes people who are really neurotic score poorly. That's the conversation I remember. So for the next 10 years, I was like, whatever my IQ is, and this matters to me because of who my dad is, whatever my IQ is so low that my roommate wouldn't even tell me my IQ. So then we launched, I like hire him. He's running kind of the development team for the platform. And we finally launched. It was horribly stressful. He comes over, he's like, we should do shots, which I never do. So we do shots and he's like, oh yeah, you scored 135. I told you that. And I was like, I've been operating as if I scored, I don't know, something low enough that I had to really prove myself for 10 years, Victor. Like, you never told me that. And that was when I was on a whole bunch of medication.
Hold on.
I really think that got to me psychologically.
This is going to show my IQ. I don't even know what the fucking score means. What the fuck does 135 mean? I don't know what that means.
100 is average, and then it kind of skews in a bell curve on both
really
sides.
high?
What's the top?
Oh, I mean, there's like really, really smart people. 155 is really, really, really ridiculous.
So 135 is very high.
I think 133 is Mensa. You can get into Mensa with 133.
Damn. So you're like, your IQ.
So I'm fine. So this year, probably because we finally launched a company, I don't know what, I've got such stupid expectations for myself that I was like,
Yeah,
I don't
but you know
know
what the worst thing is? And I tell this to Lauren all the time. Sometimes really, really smart people that know they're smart forget that there's other smart people. And what I mean by this is like they know they're so smart and such high achievers that sometimes they'll be dealing with another smart counterpart that's maybe not as smart as them, but they're not stupid people. And they will treat the person as if they're not smart. And because of that, I've seen a lot of really smart people do terrible in business because
they get cocky.
They get cocky and they forget.
But everyone's smart.
So I think it's not a bad thing to like kind of.
I completely agree. I had a conversation with Dad yesterday and he was like, are you going to, now that, you know, you have money and a bunch of successful things, how are you going to stay humble about it? And I was like, my aspirations are so stupidly high that until I get to there and I don't even know if it's achievable, then I'm just going to be like, it's not good enough.
That's
it's
exactly.
not good enough.
Totally understand. I say like, I feel like I haven't even nicked my potential of what I need to do. And it's like, you have to be insatiable. It keeps you pushing forward though.
You know what though? Watch, you'll come back in 3 or 4 years and you'll be much further and you'll be saying the same exact thing. Because what happens is you'll just keep pushing the bar. Which is
totally, I mean, like, is there a better alternative than that? I don't think so. You're going to get there and then not do anything with, you're like, oh, I've reached peak capacity. I'm going to sit on a beach now.
Well, I think
I don't want that.
The high achievers, they're like one thing that common with the people that come on this show, like the high achievers, I think what makes them high achievers is that they're more obsessed with like the process and pushing the bar further and seeing how much further they can take it, as opposed to like, I want to do this and once I get here, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like we've never actually had someone on the show that's like, I did the thing and now I'm finished. Like most of the people that come on that are doing impressive things, they just keep pushing the boundary further.
Yeah. As soon as you achieve it, you're like, okay, what's next?
Clarins just sent me their new double serum. It's a good one. If you're looking for a serum that's all about anti-aging, you got to check this out. This new formula helps neutralize visible effects of lifestyle and environmental aging, like lack of sleep, diet, and pollution on your skin. I'm going to New York City and I'm very thoughtful about the pollution there. I think about my skincare when I travel to New York City to really focus on pollution since there is so much pollution there. And I will be bringing Clarins' new double serum. The reformulation is powered by 22 plant extracts and 5 active molecules. Everything mimics your skin's composition with a formula that has both an oil-based and water-based serum for maximum efficiency. I also got a little rash around my nose and I used this on it and it was absolutely amazing. It really made my skin feel incredible. You have to check it out if you're looking for something to firm skin, smooth wrinkles, boost radiance, and refine pores. It really leaves your skin glowing and smooth. And if you live around pollution, this is truly liquid gold. It's never too late to turn back the clock on aging, especially when you incorporate a solid multitasking product like this. Go to clarins.com/skinny and get double serum for 10% off. You also get a free 8-piece welcome gift plus free shipping on your first order. That's clarins.com/skinny with promo code skinny. clarins.com/skinny with promo code skinny. There is a recipe on the blog that you guys have to try. It is by my friend Ellen. It's called Fairy Berry Cheesecake. My kids and I made this the other day and it was such a hit in our house. Just search it on my blog. You'll freak out. It's like this delicious cheesecake with berries on top. And the main ingredient that you have to use is Philadelphia cream cheese. Philadelphia makes everything creamier, and this is an essential in the Fairy Berry Cheesecake. If you're looking for other ways to use Philadelphia cream cheese, you could do it in a guacamole. You could enhance like a creamy pasta Alfredo, a buffalo chicken dip, even my mom's pumpkin roll. I use it for cream cheese frosting. But if you're looking for a really special dessert for the holidays, you have to check out this Fairy Berry Cheesecake. The crust is made of graham crackers and sugar, and then the filling, like I said, is the cream cheese, sugar, large eggs. All of the details are on the blog. My daughter was like freaking out about it. She loved it so much. We had the best time. The cream cheese is so important for a good cheesecake. If there's anyone that knows creamy, it's Philadelphia cream cheese. It's extremely versatile and can be used to enhance any meal, snack, or really anything in between. It makes everything creamier. And definitely stalk TikTok for all the cream cheese recipes. Philadelphia makes everything creamier. Visit creamcheese.com for recipe inspiration and so you can start adding Philadelphia to your recipes at home.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online, whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand. Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your own terms. The time is now. The wait is over, guys. If you've been waiting to start that brand online, to build that e-com store, to build that product line, to build the business of your dreams or the side hustle of your dreams, or even just a hobby, the wait is over. You should start right now, and you should start with Squarespace. One thing that Lauren and I absolutely love and have been talking about for years is owning your own platform, your own brand, your own e-com store, your own merchandise, your own courses, whatever footprint you can have that you own online. In our case, it's this podcast, it's our website, it's our e-com store, it's our newsletter. It's things that we're not at the mercy of third parties for. Many of you may think that because you have a social media account that you own that. You don't. It's actually the platform that owns it, and you're at the mercy of them and their algorithm at all times. Squarespace brings that ownership back into your hands. Whether you're looking to build an online store, do custom merch, create a video collection, build email campaigns, manage your analytics, use blogging tools, Squarespace has something for everyone. It's all cost effective and streamlined. Long gone are the days where you have to find 30 different people and companies to build a simple website or online business. Of course, we have an incredible offer for our listeners. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/skinny to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/skinny.
How do you think about your time? Like what is your time spent on? How does your calendar look? Are you really brutal for 2 weeks out of the month and the other 2 weeks you're chill? Like, how do you think about that?
I haven't had a vacation where I didn't do work since I started working for my dad in like January 2018. I haven't had a day where I didn't do something. So usually I work from home, which is amazing. So I see kids all the time, which is great. But I would say I'm pretty much on for 10 to 12 hours of the day. Like George, so my 9-month-old is at the point where he can like crawl around, chew on cords and things. But we can be working there and keep an eye on him. But it's pretty much work all the time. And I don't really like it any different. I was like, do I need a work-life balance more? But then I end up going to do something and, we'll go out for dinner. So there's usually like work from maybe 8 until 6 or something. And then there'll be a little break for dinner. And then after like 8:30 to 10:30 or 11. Recently, it's been like up until 12 or 1 because they're trying to launch the company. Then it's more work. So there's no work-life balance. But I'm totally fine with that.
How did you and your father get together and decide to launch this academy? And like it's so interesting to me because I feel like I want to take it. It looks like really cool.
It's fun. It's really fun. I'm having more fun than I've had in my entire life. We, in 2018, I think it was 2018, it might've been 2019, we put out a personality course for my dad. So I was like, you should do an intro to personality because everybody can benefit from knowing what their personality is and like how that differs from other people and why they're attracted to certain people. I was like, that's good for everyone. And that was like, it wasn't accredited. It was just a 6-hour course and it was so popular. And about 3 years ago, I was like, first of all, we can do more for you, but we could do that for everybody who's smart, who has a message to share.
At the time, it was
people
just for
are
him?
interested. Well, initially, we already knew it worked for him, but I was like, you have all these good connections. Like he has connections at Cambridge and Oxford and like Stanford and Harvard. You have all these great people. They don't have a social media following, but they're really interesting and really engaging. We could just make courses for them too. So, and then that kind of combined with him talking about an online university, which I think he started talking about in like 2016, like really like to make an online university. And over the next 3 years, like my husband and I, and like my old roommate, Victor, that screwed me over for 10 years by not telling me my IQ test, score. But like we kind of started developing it. And initially we were going to launch with 3 courses and it was pretty much going to be a video platform. And then over a 3-year period, it was like, oh no, we want a social media platform too. So we have like, you can post photos and it's kind of like X and Instagram combined.
What do you learn? Like what are the
courses?
Yeah.
So we're putting out a general education curriculum, which is going to be a lot of great books, like a lot of courses on great books, but we also have a base courses for like personal finance. We're going to have what to do in emergencies, which is just like if you get injured or
Lauren, take this
certain
course.
ways.
I don't know how to do that.
But we tried to come up with a curriculum that's like, what does every person who walks into a random sophisticated conversation need to know to not sound like a moron? Yeah. So it's like a lot of history, a lot of philosophy, a lot of psychology, and then base understanding of like chemistry, physics,
and it's accredited,
biology.
Right?
It's not accredited.
It's not accredited.
So we're working with different jurisdictions. It looks promising.
I think you'll get it.
I think we might get there, but we're also not willing to just do what universities do to follow suit.
Well, I was going to ask you what you and him think about the general state of universities now. I mean, because it seems a bit different than when we were kids.
Oh, it's a mess. So I went to 2 different universities and I was always like, my dad was like, you need to get a PhD because that's the direction you should go in.
He comes from the world of academia.
Yeah. And he was like, in order to be successful, you need a PhD. And so that's what I grew up thinking. And I went to university and I was taking courses and the professors were so bad that it was so disappointing. So
you were smarter than them.
Probably. It was really bad though. Like I had my intro to psychology professor told us that rats weren't social creatures because they lived in cages.
Ooh.
And I was just like, I'm never coming to this class again. This is such a waste of time. So, and then I had a classics course and I actually liked that teacher and we were studying Homer and she goes, oh, now we're going to study Homer through a feminist lens. I was like, we're reading Homer through a feminist lens? Homer wasn't thinking about his books through a feminist lens. I was like, this is insulting and expensive. And I think I was so annoyed at the quality of education that I was expecting. Like I was expecting Harvard or something. And now that doesn't look like it's going in a great direction either. So it's just been nice to be able to be like, what should university look like? Can we make it accessible to everybody? Can we make it internationally accessible? And can we make it so affordable that anybody can access this level of education?
Yeah, I mean, so we're both not academics. So before everyone starts jumping down my throat, I went to the University of Arizona, right? So Harvard of the desert, but nothing that's going to get everybody out there excited about academia. But I'll say like I was a poor student and I never took school seriously because I think I was intelligent enough to know at the time that a lot of the stuff that I was being taught was going to be absolutely unapplicable to me as an entrepreneur. Like there was so many bullshit courses and so many bullshit classes that I took that I remember sitting there and saying like, I will never use this. Matter of fact, when I have no idea where my diploma is and I've never used it on a resume and I have no idea I can't.
Have you ever even filled out a resume?
I can't even really remember what I learned. I mean,
resume?
But anyways, the point is I feel like along the way, we've started to get away from just general base knowledge, to your point, and understanding and things that you actually need in the real practical world to go and build a business or have a successful career. And it's like you get these forever students that are going on all these tangents, which is like, if you're really interested in these obscure subjects, like go read a book and do your own thing, but don't waste thousands and thousands of dollars thinking it's going to further your professional career down the line.
This is the other reason. It's such a disaster, especially in the US, because it really is hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is so much money. And then you end up with knowledge and a degree that isn't applicable and in debt. It's so bad. Like people should be protected from it, I think. And then there's ideology that's like crept in, that's thoroughly embedded in most of the courses. So you're like paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to end up with a brainwashed education that won't help you get a job. And then you're taught to blame other people because of the position you're in.
Yeah, I mean, like at this point, I can say
it's wild that when you talk about it, people get so upset. And it's like, at least if you're going to do it, know what you're getting yourself into.
I maybe this is different for other fields, but I just want to say, like, I think we operate now, Lauren and I, in the world of media. And I think there's a lot of young people that aspire to go into whether it's digital media or whatever. And I can tell you now, as like an employer, I do not know where one person in this entire company went to school. I don't know what their grades are. I don't know what their background is. I don't know what I don't know their degree. I don't know their major. I don't know anything. I've never looked once. I look at who has practical experience and can get the job done and has tenacity and who has common sense.
It sounds like you guys are rebranding college a bit.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
They don't like when I say that because it's like, as an employer now, and I've heard a lot of people, I could say I put almost zero weight or emphasis on any kind of academic degree whatsoever because it's not applicable to what we do.
You know, you're not even alone though. Like, I know people who run, say, like financial advising companies that also don't really care about that. Like the number of company owners that aren't looking at degrees is astounding, and it's just growing because you end up hiring a bunch of people that have a degree and they don't know what they're doing at all. So what's the point of looking at that as, you know, a record of what people know?
What does your dad, who was sort of like in that world, think of what's going on with this? Like, does he also think it's ludicrous? Is that why he felt to launch this with you? Okay, so he also
he's angry. Yeah. Like, I don't really care. I'm just like, this is a great business opportunity. And we could help a lot of people make education free. This is awesome. Keep wrecking yourselves, right? But Dad's like, these are foundational institutions and they used to be like magical places for people and they're like burning themselves to the ground. And I think he's emotionally hurt by that.
Well, I imagine he's dedicated his whole life to it.
Yeah. And I mean, he got basically alienated out of working at the U of T, which was ridiculous because he was one of their highest rated professors.
Because of his platform online? Because he's outspoken or what?
Yeah. Well, he started like even in 2016 when he like kind of delved into politics, then there were protests at the university. And he's been pretty vocal about like HR companies are taking out the universities. I remember in 2012, we had the dinner table and Dad would like storm downstairs because his office was upstairs and be like, the HR companies are going to be the death of universities. And when he finally put out the video that went viral in 2016, it was because he stormed downstairs one day and my mom was like, talk about it on YouTube, because he had a YouTube channel and he put out this video that was like Professor Against Political Correctness and it went viral. My mom was like, oh.
Well, I guess what I'm saying from an outside perspective is I have I don't really have a base knowledge or understand, but what I'm saying is, to me, the incentives are misaligned where you're telling people, hey, take massive loans and then maybe go learn things that you're actually not going to be able to use that are not going to be applicable to further your career to get out of those loans. And I've said on the show a million times, if you have a parent that's willing to foot the bill, go to school, enjoy it, enjoy the independence, have fun, like learn what you can. You're not going to carry some huge financial burden after. But if you're a young person that's thinking about going to college and you're going to take on hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and you're assuming that at the end of that, this degree is going to get you out of all that debt quickly. I mean, just look what's happening. There's millions of people that can't get out of debt because they've made this decision. And I just say that as like, it's a fact now.
I have to ask you this. You also went viral, it says, on Piers Morgan's show.
Oh, yeah.
What happened with that?
He asked me what I eat in a day. And he was like, what do you eat for breakfast? And I was like, strip loin. Like, what do you eat for lunch? Strip loin. Like, what do you eat for dinner? Like strip loin and soup. And that was the clip. That was the clip. And in the arguments, it was like, but what's in the soup? I'm like, to clarify that, it's like pressure cooked strip loin. Yeah. So it's not like, I call it soup, but.
So that went viral.
Yeah, like crazy. I don't know, 23 million views or something.
Went crazy about that.
Piers was great. Super nice. I think it was just, I don't know, I guess it's funny. I guess a lot of people haven't heard about, I'm in such a little niche where everyone who talks to me is like, yeah, you only eat meat. That's normal. Like, but most people are like, that's extremely abnormal. So people were freaking out in the comments.
I have to tell you, I get it. I totally get what you're doing. I think it's great and it works for you. I don't get, this is my thing. I don't get why anyone cares what other people are doing if it works for them.
I think people are offended if anybody's doing anything that's different from them and successful. So like people, I mean, like Musk said he was going to launch something to Mars and people were unhappy in the comments.
I feel like it's a waste of capacity to be offended over something you can't control, but that's just me. Sorry, Michael. And I don't even know if anyone's ever asked you this. I have to ask you about your beauty health diet. I feel like people always ask you about entrepreneurship. Do people ask you about beauty health diet? Because you're into it.
I am into it.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, can I ask you?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Favorite skincare hack?
Strip loin.
That is a skincare hack.
Like, actually, honestly, you're so more advanced in skincare than me. I like double wash.
That's
about my
beautiful.
Skincare hack. That's from not eating anything and being really careful about mold and any type of environmental exposure. It's basically just anything that I'm exposed to or ingest. That's how I take care of my skin.
But that is I don't want to say that's a hack, but that is something that's obviously you have beautiful skin. That's working, right?
Yeah.
Like
Thank you. I've worked really, really hard for it.
What a novel thought.
First thing I noticed.
If you live in a moldy home and eat like shit, you're going to have bad skin.
If you live in a moldy home and eat well, you're going to have bad skin.
Got to check for molds.
Yeah.
Get even those $6 kits off Amazon.
Yes.
You can just put them in. You're like in your bathroom and just check. What's your non-negotiable in your wellness routine? Besides your diet?
I would say, besides diet, sleep. I do really poorly. With not enough sleep. So ideally sleep, it's so bad. Like I used to be on point at like 10 p.m., 6 a.m. wake up, 10 p.m. bedtime. And I felt so great. And then I got so busy that it's been like 12 and 1 o'clock mornings and it wrecks me. So I'd say like number 2, other than diet, is if I can get to bed at 10 p.m., it like changes the outlook of my life.
You guys have a business going on and a 9-month-old, so
yeah,
give yourself a little break.
You got a lot going.
Yeah.
What are you reading?
What am I reading?
Yeah.
I haven't read something for fun since before I got healthy. Like throughout my childhood, I was a voracious reader. I had arthritis, so I did sports, but like they hurt. So I read all the time and I went through all the classic books and like old literature. And then when I was 23 and started researching diet, all I read were scientific papers. And so I spent like before I got to the gluten link, I spent 2 years reading scientific papers till I got to gluten. And then since then, it's really been, I honestly, like people ask me this all the time. What are you reading? I read the Bible. That's about it. Like, and I would read other things, but there's so much work to do that's so enjoyable that I'm like, I can't even focus if I'm doing something other than the work.
That makes sense. You're just really passionate about what you do.
Did your parents introduce you to reading at a young age? Was that something that was mandated in the house?
Yeah, my dad taught me how to read when I was 5. I can remember sitting on his lap, like weeping, trying to so I was old enough to remember that, trying to sound out words. Are
there things that either him or both your parents made you do that at the time you were very resistant to, or you did not like, that you're now grateful for? Like, if that's one of them. So I think about this as a parent. I'm like, I wonder if there's things that I should be doing that I know they're not going to like, but that's just going to do so good for them later.
I think like reading initially, but I wanted to learn too. So I wasn't pushing back too far. I just remember crying with frustration, trying to like sound out the letters in a row. Like that's vivid. Did they make me do anything I didn't like? I didn't like practice. I didn't like bowling. That's because I had arthritis. We had to bowl for my brother's
you mentioned
birthday.
Your mom
there
was
wasn't
strict. Are there certain things that they wouldn't allow you to do? Or
just stupid things like don't go out on Friday and smoke weed and drink all night.
Well, that's like normal.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
I don't
like
think there's
that.
any parents like get on out there and just have yourself a time.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe some.
You recently got married, who I just had the pleasure of meeting your very tall husband. He's very tall.
Lauren, we know. Lauren,
I'm just saying.
We know.
It's like jarring because I'm not used to it. I'm like, what's going? Like, it's like disorienting.
I think he's wearing like, I know he's got normal shoes.
But you guys recently got married, and you were public about it, as Michael and I were with our marriage. How was that? How was that? When we got married, we did it like on the internet.
Oh, that.
Because I know everyone has opinions.
I don't know. I like maybe I wasn't paying attention.
You were too busy getting married.
I also got so much, my family too. It wasn't just me. It was mostly my dad. Got so much negative media attention from 2018 to 2020.
You don't give a fuck anymore.
Not at all.
Yeah,
so I think it was mostly positive, but I wasn't really paying attention. I do think people were just like, oh, you look so much happier now. I think that was like the overall.
The individuals that made it through 2018, I'd say even 2022 with negative press and came out the other side without being phased, like I don't think anything will phase them at this
leave
point.
the comments up now. I mean, I remember when I first started out, you like delete them or you
guys
block
got it
them. I don't even care. No,
worse,
it's out of control.
But I guess what I'm saying is like, there's some people that got washed out and couldn't handle that, but the people that made it through, like, good luck.
Yeah, it was hard. It was rough. Like, it was rough. It like decimated my family for about 5 years. Every time there was a negative article.
It's like say whatever you want at this point.
Oh, well, now at this point, we're like, yeah, bad press is good press. Which you can't get that into your head when it's happening because it's scary.
Yep.
But now it's like, yeah, like spew more lies, please.
Well, I think what there was
great. It's like free PR.
Yeah, exactly.
There was like a really weird period of time there, and it's kind of, I think it's dying down a bit. Who knows? Maybe we'll do this episode with you and we'll come back. But where they were like really like trying to take people's livelihoods away. Like that was the pressure.
Oh yeah, that was also part of it. So it wasn't just like, I mean, for my dad, for what happened to him, it was like he thought he was going to lose his job at the university, which was at risk, his client base, and that all his friends would hate him. And so it's no wonder that kind of thing does take people out.
Sure.
I feel like now people are realizing the people who really like you, who should be there, actually like you more for sticking up for yourself.
Oh, for sure. And that happened to us too. Like I lost a bunch of friends and was like, well, then you weren't my friend. Like you didn't even like me then. That's fine.
Goodbye. Yeah. Goodbye. Like next.
Yeah.
I that's the way I look at it anyway. It's like if they were going to like abandon you, it's like, I don't want to be friends with you anyway.
Yeah.
Last question, and then we're doing your podcast. This is our TikTok moment. Okay, what's in your bag?
I love this. Okay, so do I have anything back here? I have a mirror back here.
Okay.
I got on an airline. And in the front, usually I have my EpiPens because I'm so allergic to everything, but I forgot them, which is a little anxiety provoking. So I don't have any EpiPens. I just have like nerd stuff.
We love it.
This is for histamine intolerance.
Okay.
It helps you. It's DAO and helps you break down histamine. So I take that before I eat steak.
Can anyone take that?
Yeah. I mean, it's good if you have any level of like.
If you get red?
Yes, it's that. Yeah. This is really good. It's DAO. And this company.
I get red when I drink alcohol. That's why I ask.
Yeah. This will help with that. So yeah, it's called Histamine Digest. This company's really good. I have Zins because I'm a.
Oh,
yeah.
I wasn't expecting
steak
that.
and vodka and Zins.
Love it.
Huberman says nicotine is healthy. It's not. Like, there's no way that's right. But Zans
little
are in
nicotine
there.
Can be good.
I have all my, because I'm traveling all the
Carson.
time, I have like my visa and passport, because I have the type of visa that you don't get a stamp in your passport. So I have to carry around my letter that says I'm allowed in the States.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty archaic. And I have my hangover supplements,
Yeah.
of course.
Oh, we take those.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, those are yours. I forgot. Yeah, we take those.
I take these all the time when I drink. I'm going to have a cocktail tonight. I'm going to take it at the restaurant.
Yes.
Explain what this is, because this is absolutely life-changing. Is it called a compound? What's the ingredient?
It's pure. So it's dihydromyricetin. And this is like this is like my pet project because the big project is Peterson Academy. This is because if you don't eat carbs and you drink alcohol, the hangovers are on another level of horrible. And I found this I found the compound when I was 20 and I was drinking way too much and I was horribly hungover in bed. And I was like, it's I don't know when that was, 2012. There's no way that there's not something that can help with hangovers. And there's this compound out of Japan called dihydromyricetin. And they've been using it over there because Asians have a really hard time breaking down alcohol. They've been using it over there in tea. Yeah, they get like flushed and everything.
Yeah, to get red.
This helps break down acetaldehyde. So if you drink, the ethanol converts, you metabolize it into acetaldehyde. And that's what poisons your brain and your organs and your body.
Is that why I get such terrible hangovers my whole life? Because of this? Because
a buildup of acetaldehyde. Some people don't break it down as quickly and things like that. This helps you break it down.
Because have you ever met those people like, I've never been hungover, drink. I can't.
I'm not one of those people.
If I have 2 glasses of wine, I'm hungover.
So what I do,
wine's worse too, especially for histamine and for histamine intolerance.
It's horrible. It's so bad.
So if I take that,
no, you take them. You've taken these before. I've given them to you, but I take 2 when I was traveling. I took 2 before I drank and 2 in the morning. Is that right?
Yeah, it depends how much you drink. Like if you're going out and having 4 or 5 drinks, I'd take 3 before after you drink, before you go to bed. And 2 in the morning.
Okay.
If you're having 1 or 2 drinks, then 2 and 2 in the morning.
Okay, so you do it before bed with like a big glass of water or whatever.
Yeah, and like electrolytes are always useful if you're going to be dehydrated. And then for you, I'd probably take the DAO enzyme for histamine intolerance before you drink. Take this one after you drink because you're probably getting whammied with like acetaldehyde and histamine intolerance.
Because I don't know what it is. I swear to God, maybe it's after I've turned 30 or whatever, or become a dad. If I smell alcohol now, I'm hungover for a week. So whatever, my hangovers are brutal. Maybe because I just beat myself up.
Do we have
so
a
long.
code for after party?
Oh, we could get a code. We
do
make
code
a code.
Skinny?
What do you want it? Code
Let's
Skinny?
do code Skinny. How much can they get off?
15%. Let's do 15% code Skinny. Yeah.
FullerHealth.com.
Yeah. It's worth trying. I don't even it's very successful, but I also pay people to run it. So I'm not making hordes of money from it. It just works so well. And if you're going to drink and you can break down acetaldehyde faster, like there are hardly any supplements I take. I take DAO. I take this one.
Okay,
if
I'm going to drink
drinking.
tonight. And then I'm going to have 2 of those, 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to tell you.
2 more tomorrow morning.
And I'll report back.
And then
I love it. Yeah. I take it all the time. I love it. I tell everyone about it. I think it's absolutely fabulous. FullerHealth.com.
Yes.
Code Skinny 15.
FullerHealth.com.
Can we also do a code? I didn't even ask you this for the Peterson Academy.
No.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Sorry. You have to pay it.
You got to pay.
It ends up, so it's $500 a year.
Got to pay.
And you can pay $41 a month.
That's
it's
not
like
bad.
Dirt cheap. Yeah. There's 18 courses. We're rolling out 3 new ones a month. So
I kind of am interested
like
to just
40.
put it on while I'm taking a shower.
You
doing
can
my
listen
makeup.
to them as podcasts too.
Yeah. That's really smart.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you want to switch it up from a podcast.
Yeah.
That's really smart to just do it while you're doing your makeup.
Yeah.
I mean, I might do that. Peterson Academy, the host of the Mikhaila Peterson Podcast. I love your podcast. You guys should all go listen. Where can everyone find you? Pimp yourself out.
I'm Mikhaila Peterson on Instagram. Mikhaila, like youtube.com/Mikhaila on YouTube. That's where my podcast is, or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever. And then the online university is petersonacademy.com. And hangover supplements are also on Amazon.
They're on Amazon.
You just type after party in, yeah.
Ah, that's smart.
Yeah.
I'll be ordering on Amazon. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. You have an open invite to come on the show whenever you want. You're so good on a mic.
Ooh, thank you.
Maybe next time you come on with her. Yeah. We'll do a him and her.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.